Good evening.
Good evening, Monday stream.
Yes, Monday stream. Little unusual, but here we are. And you know, Dave, as the music was going, I have this terrible nagging feeling that I'm forgetting something. I don't know what it is though. I hope I'm not going to figure it out in the middle of the stream when I'm supposed to do something and I'm not prepared for it. Um, but I'll say this because of the time change. It just happened. 2 nights ago. It's only 8 o'clock right now. So
Ugh.
this time, so number one, we're doing Monday night. Number two,
Yeah.
we're an hour off. Number three, my voice is messed up now. Right, we're an hour off, so I'm like kept forgetting we're streaming tonight, and then
Oh
all of a
yeah.
sudden I'm like, oh, I gotta get in here and get set up. So I hope I haven't forgotten anything, but I think we have a pretty cool lineup tonight, and we
Yeah, I
talked a
think
little
so
bit about it
too.
on Thursday. But how was your
Animals and children don't recognize daylight savings or fallback or whatever they're called.
yes, that's very true. That's very true.
They don't
Um,
care. They're just up,
mm-mm.
and all of us are just all thrown off by this nonsense. I just wish they'd pick one. You know?
Well, the last I heard, so number one, Arizona and Hawaii are apparently the only smart states that are out there that do not recognize daylight savings. They don't do it. They don't change their times, and it might be one other place too. I don't remember. Somebody said something last week about it, but um, where was I going with this? Oh, so there's been talk about this for the last several years of trying to
I know.
abolish it. So apparently, Florida has voted to abolish it, but they need Congress approval.
Yeah, you need
I don't know
federal
why.
approval.
I don't know why. Arizona doesn't. I mean, Arizona did whatever they wanted, and so did Hawaii. But so that's what we're waiting for to abolish it.
If
And
so, the why it's okay for Arizona but not okay for Florida is Arizona flips between Pacific and Mountain. We would
mhm,
flip between Eastern and Atlantic, and suddenly Florida is no longer on the same time zone as DC, Atlanta, New York City, Boston. We don't go to Central. We go to an hour ahead of. So, like, if you lived in Jacksonville and you drove like 10 minutes north, you'd have to literally fall back an hour.
yeah, yeah,
And so, and then if you add in the fact that a good chunk of the states in Central, it throws everything off. And Arizona as a whole literally flops between the two time zones. So now they're back on California time, and they were on Mountain
yeah,
time for the winter.
yeah.
So it's just they don't notice a difference. It's just how they agree with it. Somebody was telling me they should switch it so it's a half hour, so you do in both. But then I was saying,
A half an hour.
but a half hour switch would be like the worst of everything, every decision.
That'd throw everything. That would be. I'd rather do the hour.
Yeah,
To be honest.
because then just stick to one and then you're fine. Because like I don't know if you know this, like Newfoundland is a half hour ahead of the East Coast.
I didn't know that.
So,
I thought it was
so
all
like
hour increments.
yeah, so no, they're at a half hour.
Huh.
So if it's like 9 here, it's 9:30 there.
See, that's messed up. But that's like saying let's only switch at 17 minutes. I mean,
Yeah, and
talk
then
about
it's just
confusion.
it throws you off. And then you have countries like India. India has like 4 or 3, it's either 3 or 4 time zones that are only half hour different from each other.
Yeah, that's weird. That doesn't make any
Yeah, and
sense.
you could go to, and
But
here's some time facts. You can go to the opposite end where you have China has 1 time zone, the whole country.
yeah, that would be interesting too. Um, of course, Florida has 2 time zones,
Yeah.
the Panhandle, and really our where we are, you're it's almost like we should be in the next time zone in some ways because it's funny because like my in New Hampshire used to be normal, but whenever I go up there, I'm thrown off because I'll wake up and the sun's up. I'm like, oh, it must be 7:30 or whatever, and it's 5:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Because it gets early. The sun comes up so much early because they're that much further over than we are. And I remember as a kid when the first time I visited Florida, and I woke up in the morning and it was like 6:30 and it was still dark outside in the
Oh,
summertime.
yeah.
what's going on? It was so much different. Now I'm used to it, but yeah, it's strange, depending on where you are,
Yeah,
how
if you
how
think about it, where we reside on the Gulf Coast, we're almost directly south of Ohio.
yeah,
If you flew
yeah,
straight south from New Hampshire, you'd be over the Atlantic, and not by a little bit. You'd be hundreds of miles away from Florida.
yeah,
So that's how
yeah,
far to the east they are and how far to the west we are. But
yeah.
yeah, the time stuff is just I it's always a big talk, but nothing ever gets done. So
No.
I would like it to be fixed. This is a really Ken, we're showing our age by complaining about the clock. So here's the real question for you. How many things did you have to change in your house?
I had to change, the clock under the TV, which every time I do, I forget how you did it, and then I had to, spend 10 minutes trying to figure it out. My alarm clock at my bed, and, I had to change the clock in my truck, and then my wife's truck's supposed to change automatically, but it didn't. So I had to go in
Hmm.
there. It says it's tuned to GPS, so I had to take that off of there, put it on manual so I could change the time and then put it back, so it's weird, but, and then other than I have a smartwatch, but then I also have a $15 Walmart watch, which I just realized I haven't changed that one yet. So, I think that's the last one I gotta do, but oh, you know what else I just thought of I haven't done is the grandfather clock. That's an hour off.
Oh, yeah.
So and then
Remember how
the pool
everyone had to
the
do their
pool timer.
VCR back in the day?
Oh, yeah, yeah, blinking light, and you gotta fix it. Yeah, and then they went to where it automatically did it, and I was like, "Oh my word, that's cool?" Um, but then I was gonna say too, the pool pump is set for a 12-hour cycle, and, I just leave it, I don't switch it. It's like, it's still gonna run 12 hours, who cares if it's an hour one way or the other? So I don't bother switching that. Um,
So how many people you think today were going like, "Huh, my car's right again."
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what I do with the pool because I usually in the winter months, it comes on at 7 in the morning. So, I'm, like, getting ready, and I look out the window, and I see the things on, and now I look out the window, I'm like, "Oh, it's not on. Okay, well, that's right, it's not gonna come on for another hour." But have you ever completely forgotten, like, a time change and didn't realize it?
So here's the thing. When I was a kid, you remember too, like TV back in the day would have like days of warning, like a week of warning ahead of time. Remember that on all the
Yeah,
channels? Like
yeah,
this Sunday, be prepared, don't mess up. And then if you went to church, they'd be warning you like for the first 2 weeks before a time. And
yeah,
then when it came, you would just be groggy and you'd be fine. And then you have to go throughout the whole house and refix everything. But
yeah,
by the time I'm getting out the gate at like 17, 18, things are starting to do it by itself at that point. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because like our phone, so you have an alarm clock by the side of your bed. This is my alarm clock. It doesn't recognize it. It just automatically adjusts. Everything automatically adjusts. I'm looking over here. I see my microwave that doesn't even have a clock on it because I haven't set the clock at all.
oh, okay, yeah,
We have just you guys have the grandfather clock. We have a clock that has a train, makes a train sound. And
yeah,
so you know all this. I'm explaining this to everyone else. So we had to manually adjust it. So the train came and went. So we fixed it by an hour. But yeah,
mhm,
and then in my truck today, we just hit up. There's like it's the smartest design ever. There's two buttons. One only does the hours, and one only does the minutes.
yep,
So you literally hit the hour one once,
yeah.
and then
Don't
you're
hit it
good.
twice because then you have to go all the way around again.
Oh, well, in
So,
this fall back, I will have to go all the way around to get it back.
yeah.
But I was making a joke on, so Ken, I don't know if you know this. This is a true fact about America. 1% of Americans don't have a computer in their house. Did you know that?
I would've thought it honestly, I thought it would've been higher.
And all of them go to my church.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So they don't and so I made a joke saying make sure you set your VCR back. So
They're probably all, like, writing it down, right? Like, "Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that's right. I gotta do that."
I love my these aren't just senior saints. These are your super senior saints. These are the seniors. These are the what's the joke? These are the retirees' parents.
Okay, yeah, yeah. No, they're good people. I
Ken
met
and
a
I
lot
are
of
in
them.
this. Oh, they are. They're you want to hear a fun story? They were like, you want to hear about World War II? These guys were all kids during it, so
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard some pretty cool World War II like stories from some of these people, but yeah, that's it is what it is. So, I can
Mhm.
remember the VCR flashing. The DVD players had that for a little while and they don't anymore.
Yeah.
Oh man. It's just an
For those that still
inconvenience.
have
That's
DVD
what it is.
players.
So, no joke, I am on a mission to get as much physical media as I can.
Yeah.
I don't want to stream on everything. So I've been trying to buy Disney movies. The Star Trek films are nearly impossible to find, but when I find one, I pick one up
Hmm.
because I don't want to pay for streaming everything.
Yeah.
I can just pop a DVD in, and then DVD players, the Blu-ray players are cheap, and
Yeah.
so we have most of the Disney catalog. I'm starting to now work on the Marvel catalog, and you could probably convince me to start on the Star Wars catalog, but I'd rather have the physical media, because
Yeah. I have a
internet
lot of
goes
stuff
down.
too. I have a lot of stuff too. Because honestly, it's like I always think, well, if times get really tough and I gotta cut all my streaming stuff, I still have stuff I can watch, you know? And even
Yeah,
but the funny thing is, like, right now, I said, I'm in the middle of, Deep Space Nine watching that. I have the entire series, and yet I'm so lazy when it comes to that. I put it on the stream, and then I have to deal with the commercials. I'm like, "Why am I doing this?" I have it sitting in the next room. I just gotta put it in the DVD player and watch it with no commercials, but I typically don't, but I have the option. It's always there. I have just about everything in Star Trek besides I don't have Discovery and I don't care about that. I have
yeah,
Picard season 1. I don't think I have season 3 though. I need to get that. I wouldn't bother with season 2. But then, and then of course Strange New Worlds I don't have, but I have everything else, all the classic stuff I have and all the movies. And so, and we got a bunch of other stuff. We've been collecting for years though. So, we buy these movies and then we have them. Like, oh, here's another one. Like Christmas time, you want to watch Christmas movies. Like we have a list of favorite ones we try to get through.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but at Christmas time, you can't. Oh, you got to pay $20 to watch this one. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I started buying stuff. Like off season, you can get for like $3. So we'll
Sure.
just pop those in and watch them if we can't get them on something that we already have. I'm not gonna go, subscribe to something else just to watch a Christmas movie or pay rent, rent a Christmas movie if I just buy it and then we have them. So, but yeah, I like having the physical stuff. I mean, we're all moving towards digital everything. I mean, games, or computer programs, like I use QuickBooks for work,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's all online now. It's
Well,
not
that's
even I don't even
subscription
own the
too,
physical
isn't it?
copy. What's that?
That's
It
subscription too.
Yeah, so yeah, and they can be I have the very basic one that you can get because that's all I need, but you can
Yeah,
spend some of these subscriptions on those things on the QuickBooks. If you have the full platform, it's like $300-400 a month. It's ridiculous. So, but that's how they work though, because it used to be, okay, you buy QuickBooks for a couple $100, and then after 3 years, okay, you gotta buy the next one because they'll stop supporting that one. Okay, so I gotta buy $200 every 3 years, and then it kinda shrunk down to, like, every 2 years, and then it got more expensive, and then they started announcing, "We're doing away with desktop, and you're gonna have to subscribe." So, I stretched out as long as I could, but then I got the basic one, um, and it's not I mean, I'm paying, like, $35 a month, so it's not horrible. But the advantage to that is they're updating it constantly, and I don't have to worry about losing anything or whatever. But still, it's like I don't own it anymore, though. It's like it's out there in cyberspace, and it's like if something happens to cyberspace, it's all gone. So
well, and yeah, and then the question of, do you buy music on like iTunes or something? do you actually own that, or you just have exclusive rights to it until you die?
Right.
Like,
Well,
so
yeah,
like when I die, will my kids get all the digital music I've bought? You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Not that they'll
you
want
know,
it. They'll be so cringed by it, but
it's like Xbox or PlayStation or any of the one of those now. You buy them all. You buy all the games, but you don't have them. So then, if you lose the system, I don't know. I don't know. I know some of them. If you lose the system, you lose the
too
games
bad.
too.
Yeah.
And like when you have if you buy movies on your streaming platform, if you change that, you lose all that stuff. It's like so you don't really own it, you know? So and it's like you're buying it, but they're not giving you anything physical for it. So it's they're just give okay, yep, that person has access to it now, but they're not having to ship anything to you or give you any actual physical material. So you would
And
think
they
those
don't
things would
charge
be
you less
cheaper.
for not buying physical things too. It's the
No,
same
no, they
price.
don't. They don't. So,
It's
but
just
yeah,
yeah, it's crazy. And you know what? They do incentives to make you buy the non-physical stuff too. That's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I still buy hard. I'm looking at my library. I still buy hard books, and because I could pass them down, and then also I can, the thing about it. So I don't know if you follow this. Disney Plus actively edits their Disney films, and they're not the only ones that do it. I just know about them.
Oh,
So
I
there's
know. Yeah,
yeah.
Paramount does the same thing. If I watch a Star Trek movie on Paramount, I have the director's cut editions, and they skip out a lot of stuff if you watch it
Oh
on
yeah.
streaming. So yeah, there's a lot of them that are doing that.
Yeah, they will edit after the fact. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I just yeah, I'm just not about that. There's a scene in Lilo and Stitch where Lilo crawls into the dryer. They change it and they make it into like just they only have a washer machine. They make it into like a hamper, and she
Huh.
crawls and they retexture the art so she crawls into a hamper. So it's not as controversial. And it's just like, what are you? Why? Who's
Yeah.
upset about a kid doing that in the back in the day?
Well, yeah, maybe they don't want kids to crawl into dryers, but I don't know. I
You
don't
ever
know.
have a cat or a dog do that growing up?
I think my wife did, but I never
We had
did.
a we had a cat get in the dryer, and we had the dryer. So we're both in the Northeast. Our washer dryer was in the basement growing up.
Mm.
Was yours like that?
Yeah.
So the basement was, they're damp in the Northeast. The cats had their boxes down there, and so the dryer's warm, you know.
Yep.
And we had one cat who was beautiful, but so dumb. This is one of the dumbest cats we ever had. And she climbed into the dryer when my mom wasn't watching. My mom turns it on, and you just hear the thump, the thump, the thump, the thump. Good thing she
Now
got
that I
out.
think about it, my cousins. I think I'm thinking of my cousins. They had a cat that ended up in the dryer, and I guess it did not end well.
Oh, I've
This
heard about those kind of stories.
yeah, when I was a kid, I heard about that. But
It was a dumb cat, beautiful but dumb cat, and
yeah,
oh yeah. I just anyway, yeah. Don't go in the dryer, kids. But yeah,
Dave.
I.
I was gonna
Oh,
say, speaking of dumb, that could be a good segue into our next
we're gonna do it. I was
deal.
trying to not go there. You know that, right?
I could tell that. I could tell, but we got to get
You
it
had
over with.
trauma
We
under
gotta,
your name. I had to take it out because I was so done.
all right, here we go. So, Dave, I don't want to spend a lot of time on episode 9, but as I told Dave this week, I said you got to really watch this because it's that stupid. And
I
I'm
was
not going to
too.
even talk about all the stupid stuff that happened, other than the main plot that it boils up to a cliffhanger segment, which the way they did it, the way they wrote it, is the dumbest thing I've ever seen written in my life. So I'll give a super quick summary of what happened in the episode, and then we can talk about the stupid part. What this stupid part, not the rest of it. But basically, the crew of the Athena is on its way to Beta Z for their joining ceremonies. And then we find out that the Federation finally found out what Nusbraka stole from the starbase. And apparently it took him all this time to figure it out. He stole some Omega particles that were there at the starbase. Now, if you know anything about Star Trek, we learn about Omega particles back in Star Trek Voyager. And I believe it was season 4. And basically, if an Omega particle, it's a particle that's so powerful that if it is detonated, the area in space that it's detonated into, it affects that space so that you cannot warp through that space anymore. And it's such a big, it's like having a nuclear explosion here where you have the initial explosion and then the radiation fallout that goes out for, hundreds of miles. So in this case, we're talking millions of miles or billions of miles, whatever.
Yeah.
And so the big thing in Voyager was they're trying to get home. So if this thing had gone off or something had gone off near them, they would be stranded where they are. They wouldn't even be able to go to warp. They'd be stuck there, and never get home, never be able to go anywhere in that area to warp. So that's what they found out. So and Nusbraka detonated one of these things somewhere outside Federation space, scared everybody. Starfleet is recalled. All the starships are recalled back to Federation space to protect, go in a defensive position around Federation planets. So anyway, but the Athena is still on its way to Beta Z, and they're going to now be in a defensive position. Meanwhile, Caleb finally figures out where his mom is. I'm not even going to talk
That's
about the
right.
stupidity of how that happened. Okay, we don't think we need to, do we, Dave? I think we just
No,
let
it's
that.
just yeah.
So he with 3 other cadets steal a shuttle, and they leave the Athena while the Athena is warping towards Beta Z, and nobody notices. No alarms went off, no sensors went off, nothing. Nobody notices. So they go on their way. And meanwhile, the Athena goes to Beta Z, and at some point they figure out, oh, the Caleb and these guys are gone. And meanwhile, Caleb and these 3 they rescue his mom, but then they get held up at gunpoint by thugs there that are Nusbraka's thugs, basically. And Captain Blondie figures out he's gone. Oh, we're just gonna go get him. We're gonna ride on our emotions
Yeah.
like as everybody does in the show. We're gonna abandon Beta Z and go after these 4 rebellious cadets that deserve what they get. But they went after him anyway. So they rescue them. They try to leave. Nusbraka's forces are coming in, and they put tractor beams on the ship. Captain Blondie separates the saucer from the rest of the ship, and everyone's in the saucer. Abandon the rest of the ship. The saucer flies off a high warp with no warp nacelles at all because this show's
Yeah.
not about science. So
How does that happen?
yeah, I think it was the magic wand. I think that's what
Okay.
it was.
That's about as
So
close as it will be.
so they're heading back to Federation space. They arrive at the border and realize they can't get through they can't get across the border because it's been completely mined with Omega particle mines. So
Yeah.
that no starship can get through the entire perimeter. Remember, we're talking basically picture a big sphere around an area of space. They can't get around any point. So basically, Nusbraka has trapped all the Federation starships inside Federation space, except for the Athena, which is outside. And also, not that it matters, but the Starship Discovery has a spore drive. They can jump anywhere. It doesn't matter if there's barriers in a way, but apparently they forgot about that. Apparently they forgot. So, and the Discovery is in that timeline at that time. So, we're
What?
left with a cliffhanger. We're left with a cliffhanger. What are we gonna do, right? And so
It's so retarded.
I don't know what you thought right off the bat, but my first thought when I saw this was, how could he have possibly mined all of the Federation, all the perimeter around Federation space in like a couple hours, and nobody noticed? And they pan away, and you see the Athena, and then you see all these mines, and it's like kind of like this sphere. I'm like, this sphere looks like it's like as big as maybe an asteroid or something, not like light years and light years. But I'm not going to even talk about that 'cause that's irrelevant. Um, I came up with I'll pop this up now. So I went at this a couple different ways because let's remember something here. Star Trek is not fantasy. It's supposed to be sci-fi. Star Wars is fantasy.
Yes.
We don't sit there and nitpick and oh that couldn't really happen or that couldn't really happen. The Millennium Falcon can't go across the galaxy in that time. Who cares? It's fantasy. This is supposed to be about sci-fi, which is supposed to have one, basically one leg in scientific foundation. The other one's kind of in the imagination world, but it's all supposed to be like speculation. Like this could happen in the future, and a lot of stuff that's been in sci-fi has come to fruition. Um, and physicists and stuff have gone over this stuff and speculated and theorized. So it's supposed to have a scientific background. But going back to the 24th century, which would be, Captain Picard and so Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine. We know by Star Trek canon, Federation space is 8,000 light years wide. So you picture a sphere, 8,000 light years wide, and then the whole area around. This is how many square miles of surface area are around the perimeter of Federation space, according to AI. I hope the figures are right, but even so, that's the figure.
Yeah.
It's at least that big.
I just pulled it up myself here, and I'm reading how big this would be. It's 2.68 to the 10th to the 11th power.
It's insane. So
that's 268 billion cubic light years, which is absurdly big.
So here's the thing, Dave. In the show, you could see these mines were a lot closer together than what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
I'm giving him one mine for every 1 million square miles. That's how I figured this. So how many mines would we need? And this is the number that I came up with. Part of it's off the screen here. That's another zero over on the edge there. And then I said to myself, well, I'm going to give him every advantage, and we're going to figure he can replicate 1,000 mines per second. Okay, so this is how many mines he could replicate in 1 year, and then
31 billion and a half.
Yeah, it would take over 220 quadrillion years for him to make all the mines, and that doesn't count distributing them. So you figure if he's distributing them, he can't just warp everywhere. He's gonna stop, distribute.
How much omega stuff, how particles are in existence?
I don't know, but apparently there'd have to be an off. That's not even on the radar of problems that you have here. I didn't even look at that as far as how many problems.
Because making that stuff isn't easy to do. To make, so that would look like quintillion, maybe that million. Because I'm looking at a number over here. For you to have a dense minefield, we're not talking trillions. Yeah, we're talking quad.
Well, this is how many years. Numbers. This is just how many years it would take to make the mines, and then you have to distribute them. That's based on a 24th century Federation space. Now, the reality is that
let's cut it down by a quarter. Let's cut it down to a quarter of this for the current the Starfleet Academy one.
If we go, so we know it's smaller because of the burn. All right, so that's he did that in 2 hours. So if the Federation space is smaller after the burn, which it supposedly is, what reference do we have? Well, I looked up again, Googled. We know Beta Z is a member of the Federation. How far is that from Earth? It's 50 light years from Earth. So I went 60 light years across. I think that's a fair number to go by.
Sure.
If that would be the minimum it would have to be, basically. So let's see how the numbers work there. So if they're that far apart, we know the Federation's at least that big. This is how many square miles of perimeter area you're dealing with. Still,
I don't even know what number that's called. I can see I can see billion, trillion, and after a trillion, I don't even play the game anymore.
I think quadrillion's next, and then I don't know what the next one is. It's like whatever. And then this is how many mines you need, and then this is how long it would take. This time it's only 12 billion years, or no, million, billion, trillion,
Yeah, trillion.
million, billion, trillion. Yes, it's only
And
12
that's not-
trillion years.
And that's
So
not
that's
including how long it takes to produce the omega chemical, and how much of it they'd need, and how much supplies they would need to build all of these things.
Right. So
Is
so
there
you
enough
know
matter to
details.
build that kind of?
I figured that the only way that I can figure this out is Nusbraka is actually a wizard and he has a magic
Yeah.
wand. That's how this is happening. So there is a cliffhanger here. Episode 10 is coming up on Thursday, and I've already figured out what's going to happen. I don't know if you have, Dave, but I have already figured out what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now what it is.
They fell asleep in the holodeck and they don't realize it.
That's probably it. But the way they're going to solve this, and that might still be in the holodeck, but the way they're going to solve this is the Athena, and this is going to be Caleb's idea. The Athena is going to project a rainbow with glitter in it and encompass all perimeter Federation and neutralize those mines with that rainbow glitter.
Well,
and
he's going to get his friend to throw up the rainbow glitter because he's going to feed him like 10 bananas.
That's where the glitter is going to come from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll just keep replicating bananas and keep feeding them to him. And he'll keep throwing.
And this is canon, guys. This
glitter.
Is canon. He throws up sparkles.
Yes. Yes. And he's done it twice now. Was he done twice? Yes, he's done it twice. I think he did it in this episode, if I remember right.
Wow.
He did, because he came on the shuttle drunk, and then he threw up glitter. I'm like, you didn't have any
right.
bananas.
He can't metabolize alcohol. That's what he said. He doesn't have the enzymes.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah. So this is the only thing I could figure. And the funny thing is, I've kind of kept my eye on. I've watched, every now and then I glance through some of the stuff, some of the Star Trek posts that go up, and you can see immediately there's clearly some bots posting on here. They put them in there. Oh, I love the show. Blah, 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 blah. Right. And I think, sure you do. But there are some people I think that do actually love the show. And I think, it's the people that have been taught not to use their brains, not to question anything, just to ride on emotion. And if you do all that, you can kind of like, oh, I love the show. It was so emotional, but you don't even pay attention to all the problems that are in the show. And
I have to be honest. I don't think there's a single fan of Starfleet Academy. I don't. It's all AstroTurf. Someone is getting paid, or somebody is getting a freebie. I cannot, in my heart of hearts, believe that someone actually enjoys this.
Yeah, I don't. And the funny thing is, when you look at some of these posts, when they because you can tell they stack them on these pro Star Trek Starfleet Academy websites, whatever they call it, posts, you can tell it's like, yeah, it's completely made up. Oh, this is delightful. This. I love this figure. I love this character. It's like, you're full of it. It's probably a bot generated.
It's a bot, or it's shills. I mean, people who got paid. There's a handful of influencers who probably got a nice paycheck or a nice box of swag or merch, and the contract was, say something nice, and they did because they wanted. You know what? Some of it is lets them have access, and so that for the next Star Trek thing they'll be invited. Some of it is they get a payday. Some of it's both. But I just did not think that anyone was actually paid for this. Like, I can't think that anyone actually enjoys this.
I don't see how.
Even if you like I said, this is a high school show. Even if you don't care about Star Trek, people who are in that scene, they wouldn't enjoy this either.
There are way better shows that are geared for high school that have been done that are way more interesting to watch. I mean, I would rather watch Beverly Hills 90210, and I know I'm dating myself because that show was on in like the 90s.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, or 2000s, I don't remember. 90s. And but some people will know what I'm talking about. I'd much rather watch that than watch this. Forget, even if you take out the futuristic space stuff, it's still, that was a much more interesting show than this is.
Can I say something, Ken? I really
Go ahead.
appreciate that you did the math.
I'll tell you, it was scratching my head, but I have to thank AI because, like figuring out the sphere, I basically asked AI about the sphere, and then I was able to get through the rest of it. But I literally today doing the smaller number there. I was with my daughter because she had a thing that she had to do, so I was with her for a while, and I brought my clipboard with me, and I did some work on my iPad, but then I was doing this too, and figuring out I had to do the division by hand because my calculator would not give me. I don't. It has a limit on it what it will do, so I had to do it by
Yeah.
hand. I'm like, "You're kidding me." So, but yeah, that was. I needed to know. I just needed to know. You know, so I ran with it. But
It just the the sheer immensity, a thousand a second. Even if you give it that,
yeah, that's a
as
lot.
it doesn't break down. Yeah, like I said, the next episode is either going to be they fell asleep in the holodeck. B, maybe it is all just that Caleb is having a nightmare in his mother's arms, and he's going to wake up
And he's
and
still
still
5
be
years
a
old.
child, and he will not. And he'd be like, "Mom, I had the weirdest dream." She's
Yeah,
like, "No, it's okay, honey. Go back to sleep."
this thing called The
Um,
Burn and, all these weird people when I grew up and, yeah, Starfleet, it went down it just
oh,
went, you
you
know?
know what? Maybe. Hold on. It's Spot. Spot's Data's cat, right?
Yes.
Maybe this is all Spot's dream.
The en the entire, series,
Everything.
yeah,
Yes, all of it.
Discovery
Discovery,
and this.
Strange New Worlds, Starfleet Academy. Maybe it's all Spot's dream.
It could be. I would
And, he doesn't know that because at this point, Data is alive again, I guess, because
Yeah,
of Picard.
yeah.
So maybe because it's a cat in the future, it didn't like live to be 20 years old and then die. Cats then in the future, live to be like long as people do. So maybe Spot is just dreaming in Data's office when he had a bad day when it was Lorne for a little while. The end.
That's yeah, that would make more sense than what we've seen, for sure.
Because you cannot. They have to just pretend none of this happened. All of it's gone. Okay, so I'll say this. Strange New Worlds is a little redeemable. A little. It's just a little.
I take it you don't like it that much.
I just like how bad you hated the singing episode.
Oh, well, yeah.
So
We won't talk about that
how
episode.
corny that was is what makes it just a little bit okay. What they did to do is, hey, the Discovery went through a wormhole and everyone died.
That's how they should have ended
That's how
season
they
2 of
handled that
Discovery.
one. They went through a wormhole. It didn't actually go to the future of that federation. It went to the future of another federation, or everyone died. The end.
Yeah.
That's
You
how they
could
handle that.
you could do that. Be like a Back to the Future thing. It went to an alternate future.
Well, they already have done that, right? So with the Calvin timeline is connected to the main timeline, except they bridge, right?
Yeah.
When what's his face, the ship comes back. So the
Yeah.
Discovery can go through have the same kind of thing. The
Yeah.
end. And
Yep.
then the whole Kurtzman trek, because it's all Kurtzman trek, they could just say, "Oh, that never happened." But I don't know. I
Yeah.
think what's going to happen now that CBS and Paramount have been bought out, like the guy who owns it is a pretty conservative guy. He's going to want to make money, and he's
Yeah.
not gonna be happy in how little money this show is making,
Oh,
if
for
any.
sure.
If any.
I
Um,
don't think we're ever gonna see season 2. I don't think we're gonna see it.
well,
So,
if you think of it like this, it's a giant tax write-off.
yeah.
Oh, it's a loss. Write
Yep.
it off.
Mhm.
And companies do that all the time. Write it off as a loss. Oh, well, can't make the money on that. And if anything, they're just It'll be a loss they can put on their taxes, and on top of that, they can try to maintain what little goodwill they have left. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do believe, and I believe this is true for people who have Star Wars too. I believe that Star Trek fans and Star Wars fans are going to be willing to give, in the case of Star Trek, CBS a chance again in the future. I think they will. But I don't think it's going to be, people are going to be wise to it. And I think that's the thing that's happening. People are getting wise to it. I don't know, kind of
Yeah.
related. So like over the weekend, Pixar came out saying, we're not in the business of making therapy. We're in the business of making movies. Because,
that's refreshing.
Yeah, because they got to check off the box on everything. But what if they just made something good? So one of the things I liked about this episode was when I don't see the people and I just see the starship.
Yeah.
I don't even like the design of the USS Athena. It is a weird looking ship.
Yeah.
The internet's not kind of what they call it. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure. I guess you've seen it too. But I like when you see something. I like when the Enterprise turns on a dime and does something cool. That's what I want to see. I want to see it doing some awesome battles and so on. I want to see them being pushing it to its limit. And instead, it's not important. Like Star Trek Next Generation, the Enterprise is almost a character. You know what I mean? And then in Voyager, and we'll get to Voyager in a second, the Voyager is a character in Star Trek Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
And this show doesn't have it. So I like that. I think that's the best redeeming quality. I hope they bring that back and think about that.
So Dave, it is now challenge time. We have a couple more questions, and we're going to jump into this about Starfleet Academy.
I didn't tell you, I can do Jaden's voice.
Ooh,
I was practicing.
We'll do that. We'll do that in 1 second. I love that. So do Jaden's voice before I pop this up here.
He's always talking down here. That's what he does. Why
that's not bad. That's not bad. That's I don't know why he does that, but it's like that's pretty close. That's actually pretty close.
You seem pretty shocked.
Get an award just for that. So
if he's doing that the whole time, that's got to be painful for the voice.
Yeah,
because it's
I don't know if he's doing that or if it's electronic. Maybe if it's both. I'm not sure because it almost seems so deep. It's like I wonder if that's like they help it with electronics. But
so once again, my wife is using my account, and as soon as I did that for Jaden, she went, "Ew."
Well,
I'll have to keep that one in reserve. I'll have to keep that one in the background. So we need Jaden's opinion.
Dave, this first question's for you. Very important question of Starfleet Academy. How much glitter did the Gay Jock throw up in season 1? Is it A, I don't care. B, people don't throw up glitter. C, throwing up glitter is a stupid idea. Or D, all of the above.
Oh, snap. Oh, man. I'm going to...
It's a tough one.
It is D, all of the above. I'm going to do...
Correct.
Oh, there you go.
Correct. And I did not explain that. I should have. But for any viewers that don't know what just happened there, Dave won that question. Therefore, he gets to watch a video that he enjoys. So,
yeah. I love how they misspell USA on the jerseys. That's
the next one's for me. The next one's for me.
Okay, let's see.
So just click that forward here.
Let's see. So Ken, question for Kenneth: how many hours per night does Sam sleep? 2 hours? A whole 40 minutes. Nice reference there. 8 hours. 0 hours because holograms don't need sleep because they are holograms.
I'm gonna go with D.
D?
Final answer.
Oh, it's correct. You're correct. There you go. You got it exactly correct.
That's
Holograms
amazing.
don't need to sleep.
I'm gonna watch my video now. That's fantastic. That's
the poor cat gets wet.
So tonight, Star Trek Voyager. That was the third newer Star Trek show they put out, and it came out in I think 90. When was it? Mid to late 90s.
Yeah,
something like that. Or was it early? It was something like that, mid 90s. But this is the crew that we see here. Captain Janeway. She's basically the first female captain running a series. Not the first female captain that we see in Star Trek, but the first female captain we see running a series. And of course, this ship, the Voyager, was propelled 70,000 light years away from home, and the whole series is about them coming back, and she has to get her crew home. So they were actually chasing after a group called the Maquis, which were renegade Bajorans, and he was actually their leader that they chased in a place called the Badlands, which is where this phenomenon came and scooped them up and threw them 70,000 light years from where they were, which translates into roughly, they say, 70, 75 years to get home. Now, Dave, I don't know if you know this, but that calculation was going by basically the Galaxy class starship, which would be, the Enterprise was Galaxy class. The Voyager could actually go twice as fast as the Enterprise. So actually, in reality, they could have gotten home in like 35 years without any help. But
so how many space mines would it take to get there, though?
Space mines?
Yeah. and how long did it take you to put them up?
I'll have to ask the doctor on this one. He should know. But no, this guy Chakotay, he was leader of the. Of course, they all ended up together on the far side of the galaxy, and they agreed to come back together. He became Janeway's first officer because Janeway's first officer died. Was killed, as several crew members were killed in the initial blast to this area of space. So he led the Maquis, but then he became the first officer. I like his character. I think he's really a cool character, a guy with wisdom. He messes around with what is it? The animal spirits or whatever, because he's Indian, but actually he's Mexican in real life. But he plays in Native American, I should say, Native American in this role. He does a good job. I like his character. Tuvok.
Yeah, he does.
He's a good character.
Yes, he is.
Plays a good Vulcan, and I think he does a good job as a Vulcan. And we see him again in Picard season 3. And Tim Russ, he actually played a role in Star Trek 6. No. He played a role, just a one-time role in an episode of Next Generation where he played a bad guy. And he did not have pointy ears, so he was not a Vulcan in that one. He's supposedly over 100 years old in this episode, and he makes reference back to Captain Sulu because he served under Captain Sulu on the Excelsior back in the day, and they actually did a recreation. I don't know, that was a cool. They brought from Star Trek 6, you see Captain Sulu and all the characters. They brought they brought that back in an episode where all the characters were there and the bridge and everything, and they plugged him in as if he was there too, which is pretty cool. That was a cool episode. Harry Kim. So I don't know if you know this, Dave, but um, well, you probably know Harry Kim was an ensign all 7 seasons. He never got
Yeah.
promoted. But do you know the reason why that happened?
No.
So the actor, I guess, was a pain in the butt to deal with. And so they punished him by never promoting his character. That's why. So they're like, you're going
Wow.
to stay an ensign the entire 7 years, so whether you like it or not. So they punished him by not giving him a fake promotion. But yeah, I guess he was kind of like, I don't know if he was as bad as Shannon Doherty was back in the day on Beverly Hills 90210, but she was a real diva. But I guess he would show up late, didn't know his lines, this and that. And it's funny because you would never guess from his character that he was like that, because on the show he's very by the book, and young ensign would never break a rule, no nothing. But in real life, he wasn't quite like that.
Yeah, he was a good character. I'm surprised by that.
He was a good character. And the funny thing, I'll go back to him real quick. In one episode, he actually dies, and his alternate self like resumes his role. So an episode where the Voyager basically split into 2 realities.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
And so the question is, which one died? But one of them dies, and then the other one goes to the other ship, because the other ship gets destroyed in the end. That was kind of strange, but kind of cool at the same time. Now, Tom Paris, Janeway brought him out of prison to bring him on this mission. And so he kind of had a problem from the beginning. His father was an admiral in Starfleet, but they developed his character throughout the series till he actually became a respectable character. And he even says, in the show at some point, this was, getting stranded here was the best thing that could have happened to me. It saved his life, basically. He and her, B'Elanna Torres, they end up getting together.
That's right. Yeah.
They get married, and have a kid. In fact, the last episode, the kid's born. She was a Maquis, and so she was with Chakotay, and she plays a good Klingon. She's a Klingon, half human, and you see a lot of the Klingon temper in her. She ends up becoming chief engineer. I like her character. I think, again, played a good character. Of course, Robert Picardo plays the Doctor back when he was respectable. And although I have to say, I mean, he does play
excellent
his role
in the show.
Yeah, he's excellent in this show, and he plays his role to the best that he can with what he's got to deal with in Starfleet Academy. The only thing that I don't understand is how he's a hologram. Why does he age in the future? It doesn't make any sense. But he did, he was, of course, is a hologram on Voyager, and kind of evolves from there to where he's able to eventually, with futuristic technology, be able to move about the ship and off the ship with his mobile emitter, and that opens up opportunities for him. So plays a good character. He also does a cameo in Star Trek First Contact when Beverly Crusher.
Yeah. When she has to distract the Borg.
Yeah, she calls him up and activates him to distract the Borg. She's like, I swear I never used one of these things. And then he appears. I remember in the theater, everyone starts clapping when they see him. So I was like, oh, there he is.
That was a fantastic film. First Contact is.
Yeah, Jonathan Frakes, that was his first director role, and he said that's what changed his career, his life. He really enjoyed that. And it's funny because he directed this episode of Starfleet Academy too, and it's like the thing is, it's funny because Alex Kurtzman directed the first episode, which was action filled, and it was lousy. The action parts were. This one, the action parts were good in and of themselves, even though the writing was terrible. You could tell that a real director directed this one, even though he didn't have much to work with. Now, Neelix, he's a character that when he first came on, I'm like, why? I would say he's a Jar Jar Binks, except Jar Jar Binks wasn't around then. So I think Jar Jar Binks is the Neelix. But I do have to say this, that he grew on me over the years. And in the last season, like maybe 4 or 5 episodes before the end, he leaves the ship, and there's the final scene when the doors open, he's coming off the turbo lift, and the corridors are lined with crewmen all the way to the transporter room, and you see him going down there, and he's looking all emotional, going into the transporter room to beam off. And in real life, he talked about this. He said, "I didn't know they were going to do that. When the doors open,
Oh
I didn't
wow,
know that all those people were going to be lined up there. So it was like a real tribute, and the emotion on his face was real.
was real.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah, it was
cool.
pretty cool. It was cool. But he had come on board. He was over in this other part of space, and he came along with Kess, and she's the girl. Her species lives like 10, 12 years, and then they die. Um, so she was on the show the first 2 seasons, maybe 3. Um, and she played that role, and then they wrote her off the series and they replaced her. Now the real life actress, unfortunately, she has flushed her life down the toilet basically, and she's been in and out of jail, in and out of prison. Very troubled individual, which is too bad. But she's been in constant trouble since then. In fact, I was talking to a guy who's also a friend of mine who's also a Star Trek fan from church, and he was talking about what he had found out about her and stuff. And of course, he has background in law enforcement. So, um, and she got in trouble a while back near our area, I think is what he was talking about. But
Wow,
yeah,
really?
it's a shame. Um, and of course, Seven of Nine, she is featured
The
as a
most
Borg.
famous character on this show.
They rescue her and they get rid of all the Borg stuff that they can. And she is her character develops as well. At first, she did not want to cooperate. She wanted to go back to the Borg, and then eventually, she becomes part of the crew and everything. So, they replace Kess with her, switch things up, and of course, we see her again in Picard. And I think the best role I've seen her play is in season 3 of Picard, when she's first officer and she goes head to head with Captain Shaw, which Star Trek really missed the boat on turning that into a series. That could have been
Mm.
fantastic, but they didn't. Um, so here's a Seska who is also a Maquis, but turns out she was an undercover Cardassian, as is shown later on. And of course, then she gets stuck in the Delta Quadrant and stuck in this situation. But eventually, it comes out she's a Cardassian. She worked with the bad guys, and eventually was killed off. But that character develops over a period of time. By the end of the first season, um, she's off the ship, and then I think it was the second season. At some point, she's killed off.
Mm.
And then this poor guy, Dave, this guy made it through almost all 7 seasons, and like 3 episodes before the end, he dies. This poor guy, Joe Carey. And he's, you see him periodically. He's like one of the background people. But of course, unlike, say, Next Generation, they can't be switching up characters because it's the same crew. They're stuck on the same
Yeah,
ship.
they're
They
stuck
can't,
on them.
yeah, they can't go and change crew members at the starbase. So they were actually pretty good about showing some regular people. And this guy, he had speaking roles every now and then. He was kind of like the Miles O'Brien in Next Generation, where he was there, had a few lines, and then in the next episode you see him again. And of course, they took his character and moved him over to Deep Space Nine, and they really developed him into one of the main guys. But Joe Carey, poor guy, literally, I think it was 3 episodes before the series finale, he got killed, and it was the dumbest death that they could have come up with. So, it was really sad. But Joe Carey, you're not forgotten. Don't worry. And I think that is it. So that is my review, my not really a review, my summary of Voyager. Yes. Forgot which one I was going to.
I was gonna say 7 of 9. She does not look any different today.
No, I think she's a robot.
She
I
like
think she's a
doesn't
real Borg.
age.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think she's actually a real Borg. That's
I
why.
think I'm pretty sure at that Star Trek convention I went to with one of my best friends. She was there signing things. Of course, the line was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was there. I gather she's actually really personable too. Like
That's what
actually
I've heard. Yeah, that's what I've
um
heard.
which is really because some actors are not at all. Like
Yeah.
I had no idea about Harry Kim's actor being that's there. I actually
You would
looked it
never
up.
guess that. Yeah, you would never
Yeah,
guess that.
while you were talking about them, I looked him up. Apparently, he and the guy who played Tom Paris do a podcast 4 times a month where they actually go over like Star Trek stuff.
Oh, wow.
No
Yeah,
idea.
I didn't know that.
It's
I'd like to
called the
watch that.
Delta Flyers. I know that
Hmm.
Jonathan Frakes and Brett Spiner just started a podcast.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
Gotta be if you're gonna watch it, it's interesting. They don't shy away from the language, so just be aware of that. But
Yeah.
they actually had on LeVar Burton. Is that right? I'm saying that right.
Mhm.
I watched a little bit of that one. The language is way too colorful, but they talk about the good old days. And that one,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
bound to have a Star Trek episode. I think they're trying to not make it only about that because they have careers outside of it as well. Because I guess Brett Spiner was really big into Broadway and so on as well. And of course, Jonathan, he directs, so he does tons of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they can't get away from what they are,
That's what that's what everyone knows them by. You can't, it's like I saw a thing years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, Interview with the Captains, and it was
Yeah.
hosted by William Shatner. And especially he and Patrick Stewart talked about this, how for a long time they hated being identified as Star Trek. But
Yeah.
then they both came to realize it's actually a blessing. This is how people know us, and it's done so much for us that, they actually came to like it. But it's like no actor wants to be stereotyped
Yeah.
because it can really mess up your career. But reality is they both did very well from being stereotyped
Well,
and
and I would
being
say
part of
their
it.
fans genuinely love them.
Yeah.
Like those
Yeah.
like the and that's the thing. Like I know for instance the guy who played Bones, he was not a real doctor, but so like thousands of people said, because of you, I went to medical school. And
Yeah.
I know that changed his perspective because he was like, oh, I'm locked into this character. But because of him willing to play that, there are people alive today.
Yeah.
Because and I know that I've heard this story. The various actors have talked about it. Like their willingness to do what they did has actually impacted people in real tangible ways.
Mhm.
And I wonder if what's her name who plays Beverly Crusher? I wonder if she's heard that story too, or if Robert Picardo has heard that as well.
I'm sure.
Hey,
Yeah.
your doctor has made me want to be a doctor, and that's
Yeah.
kind of neat. I mean, we're not in their shoes, so but it's something to be, it's really neat to me that these people they've made real impact in what they've done, and that's the real
Yeah.
pity about us talking about these shows is that the shows were so good, and I do hope that they can bring them back. I really do.
Yeah.
I have a good hope that if Disney Pixar is willing to say we need to get away from the woke stuff, then maybe other companies will start to follow suit. And if not,
Yeah.
Ken, maybe we'll be able to buy Star Trek on the change, change for the dollar.
Yeah, and then we could really turn it around. Definitely.
That would be that'd be great. If things get so bad, they just have to start selling off properties piecemeal. But I'm gonna have to rewatch that. Elena and I will have to rewatch it, and we'll have to get back into it. I've been wanting to sit down and watch a TV show, and we just haven't had any that are out there that I've been really interested in. I will say that this show has really put a damper on me. Like, I want to watch something, but I'm like, I don't want to watch anything new because it's got to be Starfleet Academy again.
Well, before we jump into our last segment, I watched a podcast a few days ago. I was in my office and I just popped it on. Adam Savage, he was one of the Mythbusters.
Oh yeah,
And he was talking to Michael and Denise Okada, who were big in Next Generation. I think they were in Deep Space Nine too, working behind the scenes. he designed like the sets and stuff, like the computer panels and that sort of stuff that you see. They designed, and they were talking about how they did that stuff. It was pretty cool. I can't remember the name of his podcast, Added Savage, but of course, he being in the business in the past was able to talk shop with them. But it was just really interesting to hear, the mindset of why they made these panels look like this, why that looked like that, and how they made it work. And it was like really, it looked high tech on the screen, but in reality, it was real simple what they were doing.
You
Um,
know what? We have to. One of the things we have to do is did you ever watch Stargate, this TV show Stargate?
yeah, I didn't see a
Okay.
lot of it, but I did see some of it.
So I'll have to tell the story someday. We watched Stargate SG-1, the whole series growing up. And we watched all of Stargate Atlantis, watched a little bit of the one series that they ended up canceling. Through a set of circumstances, we ended up on the set of Stargate
Oh,
SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis. I'll have to tell the
that's
story
cool.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I got to touch the Stargates. That was really cool. Meet the actors. But you're talking about the set design. So in Stargate Atlantis, they have like all these computers and these water machines because it's Atlantis.
hmm
When you go up to touch the water machines, it's literally just fish tanks with bowls they bought at the Dollar Tree. I wish I'm kidding. This is what they said. And then because they had computers everywhere, they literally saved the computer styrofoam and they spray painted it. And then they
Wow.
glued it together. And what they did was they ran like a LED light down so that they could change and it was in the parts where you can't see it because the styrofoam was covering it. And so when they needed the colors to change, they changed the colors in the tanks. And then they had bubble makers so the bubbles would go up. And so on TV, you're going like, wow, what is that? That's pretty futuristic. In
Yeah.
reality, you're up to it. It's just like, this is just styrofoam and paint.
Well, and Michael Okada was talking about that. He's like, we never had enough time to do anything. So you had to think on the fly. You had to make
Oh,
stuff on
yeah.
the fly. Like he was showing, and they were selling these at an auction. I don't have, but he was showing these boards. They were black. Whoops. They were black. And this isn't black, but
Yeah.
starring Patrick Stewart, and starring Jonathan Frakes. And like I always thought those were digital things on the screen. No, they were boards, and then the way they filmed it was like lit up to it looked like it was just popping up on the screen and this is all digital. It wasn't though. It was actually physical credits that they put up there and filmed. I'm like, even then it was late 80s. I didn't realize how crude that was, that they were still doing stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, like the panels you see that they're working on, and they explain to you how they did it so it didn't look fake. And so when this panel shuts off, you think it's blank, but it's really not.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. But it's like he was talking about how yeah, you're thinking on the fly, and didn't have any time to really take the time to do what you wanted to do. So you just had to make it work, because time was always short on those shows. But I think that's one of the reasons why, like today's episodes, like with like Strange New Worlds, has a lot of special effects, and they spend a lot of time on it. And I think it's why they only have 10 episodes rather than
Mm.
26 episodes, so that they have more time to spend. So you get a better quality. I mean, this is movie quality stuff they're doing now.
Sometimes,
Whereas
yeah.
Yeah, whereas before it's like, well, not on Starfleet Academy, but um, whereas before it's like, Next Generation was like, this is clearly a TV show, and then this is clearly a movie over here, right? So it's definitely different because they even talked about. I'm rambling on. I just want to get this one point in, then we'll move on.
Don't worry about it.
When they did the first movie with Next Generation, Star Trek Generations, and it was still the Galaxy class Enterprise. They talked about how they jazzed up the bridge set and they repainted certain things and everything for movie quality because they said if they couldn't do it for TV quality because they had to keep things more bland for TV quality, so they didn't have to worry about things blending in from episode to episode. The way they explained it was like, wow, that's crazy. But for the movie, they jazzed up the bridge, they changed the paint color on the dome and all this stuff I never realized until they said that. I'm like, wow, and then all the little details that they could throw in on a movie that they couldn't do on a high production TV show and get away with.
Yeah.
So crazy stuff.
For all
I
the
love
hate
watching
I
stuff
have
like
for Discovery and for Strange New Worlds, I will say the bridge on those two ships are pretty nice.
yeah, that they took some hints from the Kelvin universe, if you notice,
Yeah.
because where you have the big glass or whatever transparent aluminum, and then they overlay the digital stuff on it, and rather than just having a view screen that shuts off and it's blank, you're actually seeing outside, and you're also seeing the stuff on the screen that they show. And they took that from Kelvin and they just brought it into Discovery. They brought it into Picard, and they brought it into even Strange New Worlds. So
Yeah,
it
I
is a
like
cool
the
look.
mid-century aesthetic too, though. The look at that's pretty neat. I like the idea of that kind of retro futurism, but
Yeah,
that might be, like I said, the only things that redeem those shows are I like when they're spaceship battles, and I kind of like the aesthetic of the swinging
yeah,
60s as imagined in space.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Well, hey,
So
why don't we get into it here?
let's
And we
do it. All right.
Oh, all right. I'm just opening up my Bible stuff here. Something is just taking its time today. So, the one thing that we've been going through is we've been going over prayer quite a bit. We got two more weeks of this. Then I'll see what's next. I think I'm going to do apologetics next to Ken. That way, you and I can really have some fun with that. I know there's a lot of
Yeah.
apologetic stuff that you really enjoy too. We can probably tit for tat on that. But as we've been going through prayer, the question that, as I've been looking through it, thinking about it, is how do you pray for your role as a husband or your role as a wife, or pray for in our case, it'd be, how do you pray for your wife? What is it? Oh, Ken just texted me and it totally threw me off.
Sorry, I was answering a question about sidetrack. It's because somebody asked. I didn't know that tonight was rescheduled. I said we've only been announcing it the last 2 weeks. So
I wasn't going to say anything about it.
I forgot it was coming up on your phone too.
I wasn't going to say anything. And so, how do you pray for your husband? How do you pray for your wife? What can God do for them? And the Bible says this in Hebrews 7:25. Therefore, He's able to save completely those who come to God through Him, because He always lives to intercede for them. So when you're praying, He can completely save. So if you have a spouse that's not a Christian, you can trust them with the Lord by praying for them. Or if you're not sure what to do, or your husband, your wife is in a trouble or a hard situation, you can trust God with your spouse or
Dave, can I interject?
children.
Can I interject? You just brought up a good point. Because my wife's grandfather was not saved, but my wife's grandmother was, and so for years, everyone was praying for him, and he's one of those. He was one of those like ornery people who would make fun of Christians and stuff like that. A nice enough guy who always liked me, but he was a nice enough guy, but he had that real ornery streak. And
Yeah.
long story short, God answered the prayers and he got saved. And he spent the last 10 years, 10, 15 years of his life as a Christian, before he went home to be with the Lord. But it's a true testimony on how God can save anybody, and even people you think, oh, they're never going to come to Christ.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, power of prayer is huge.
It's amazing. I mean, you and I probably have dozens of stories on how God has answered the big things and even the small things.
Yep.
Our wives were hanging out and they lost a paintbrush and they prayed and they found it like 2 minutes later. So one of two things happened, maybe more than two things. One, God just said, guys, you left it under that thing. and they remembered because he let them both know. Or
Yeah.
two, and this is probably what happened, they fell out of the universe for a few minutes. It totally unexisted because of a devil, and then God re-existed it and then told them about it. And that's probably what happened.
Mm.
It just spontaneously stopped being the paintbrush. And
That's happened to me a lot. Stuff will disappear in black holes, and I never find it again.
yeah, it's usually
So,
socks,
it's a
right?
thing. It's a thing, yeah. Tools, screwdrivers,
Oh, well, that
wrenches.
sounds expensive, actually.
Yeah, sometimes it is. Yeah.
Spontaneously unexists. Anyway,
Yep.
so there got, and actually it is funny, but God actually really does answer even the small things like where's your paintbrush? Or where's, more importantly, where are my keys?
Mm.
I couldn't find my so I'm one of these people who is very consistent. Things live in their spots and don't move them. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yep,
Like, don't
that's
touch
me.
it. That's where it lives. Why did you touch that? It needs to stay where it is.
Mhm.
I had put my wallet away and I put it in a place it should not be. And so I'll blame me or it just portaled to this location.
Mm.
Anyway, one of the two, probably the portaling, not me being negligent. I can't be that.
It was a omega particle mine probably is what caused it.
It just blew it into the place it should not have been. Anyway,
Yep.
so I panicked because it's my wallet. So I prayed to the Lord, like, God, you gotta help me find this thing. And so what happens is I remember that the portal opened it up and dropped it in the console of my car, the center console.
Mm.
Not that I left it there.
Mm-mm.
But that's what it
Yeah.
does. You can trust God with all these things. And so I know we're being a little silly here, but you can trust God to make intercession, to do big things, to pray for your lost husband, your lost wife, your lost child. He's able to save to the uttermost. So why does he do this? Well, the Bible describes Christ's love like this for his church, which means his love for us like this. This is from Ephesians chapter 5. Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. Ooh, that's a spicy one, isn't it, Ken?
Mm. Dangerous grounds there.
For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its savior. Now the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their submit in everything to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church and gave himself up for her. Ooh, that is a one section of scripture people hate. Do you know that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh man, I was reading it. I'll get to that in a second. But what does God do? What does Jesus do for his church? He lays his life down for the church. But
Mhm.
also, Ken, you got it. You probably understand anything. He leads the church. Leading is super hard to do. Like being the person who's responsible is not fun.
Right.
It is a the I don't know if you know, but the sword of Damocles sits over the head of the king, and if the king makes the wrong decision, the sword falls down and kills him. The leader always has the sword over his head. I'm a pastor. I screw up, I'm either out of a job or I'm blowing up a church. You're a
Mm.
business owner. You make a big screw up, it's thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Easy. Same thing for here. Thousands of dollars. Oh, I missed this thing. Ooh, that's gonna take a while to come back.
Mhm.
And so yes, he has to lead, but he also has to be willing to die. That's what the responsibility of a husband. But that's what, if we're praying to our God, this is who our God is. Jesus is willing to do the difficult thing of leading, and also willing to do and he did the difficult thing of dying. Positive thing about this verse that's unrelated to what we're talking about tonight. This idea that wives should submit to their husbands and husbands should be leading is actually becoming more and more popular amongst the generations. It's so like it was saying amongst baby boomers, husband being the head of the household, only like 12% of boomers believe that. But like amongst Gen Z, it's like 33% of Gen Z believes that. And in my generation, it's 29. And I believe in your generation, it's like 25.
Hmm.
So people believe, men are believing that I need to lead. Hopefully they're also believing that means I should be willing to die, you know?
Dave, are you saying that God's way is actually the better way?
Oh man, you should
Hmm.
have been at church at my church this last weekend. I was just roasting everybody. But yeah, they I went after the new age real hard this last weekend.
Mm.
I didn't give them a second. But anyway, yeah, like maybe if you organized your life and your family around what God hath said, to be a little King Jamesy for you, maybe just maybe things would go better in your life and in your family. And what did we do that we got one of these comments? What did we do to get professional streamers as a comment? This is like 10 minutes ago. What did we do? This is one of
Well,
those things where, anyway,
maybe
yeah,
maybe we hit a milestone. I don't
I
know.
don't know what that
I,
would be.
I was going to say this though, Dave. When it comes to men being the leaders in the homes, I don't know why women want that job so bad because it ain't all it's cut out to be. It's not
No.
that easy. It's it's like God holds us accountable. By the
Yeah.
way, whether you lead your family or not, God's still going to hold you accountable.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's like it doesn't matter what I think or you think. God has already spoken, and it's
yeah,
not an easy job. When I think you were talking about this last week, when everything goes wrong all of a sudden, and I've thought about this before, and I was talking to somebody one time. Like, yeah, if everything goes wrong, who does everyone look to? They're looking to me. How are we going to fix this problem? How
yeah.
are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to solve this issue? It's like now I'm supposed to have all the answers, even if I don't. You know, so no, it's not all roses and daisies. It's sometimes I don't want to do it. I'd rather have someone else in charge. You know,
Well, and
so
that's the. Do you want to be the employer or the employee? You know what I mean?
right.
Uh,
It's
I
the same thing with
admire.
that. Every
Yep.
every employee says, "Oh, it's so easy to be the boss,"
No, it's
until they
not.
do it themselves and they realize it ain't so easy. So,
And the thing is that some people aren't cut out to be the boss.
right.
And that's one of the hardest truths that people have to learn to swallow. Let's be politically correct for a second. Some people are born to be chiefs, and some people are born to be Indians. And and the schools tell us that everyone can be the president.
Right.
The
Right.
reality is that ain't the case. So
No.
it just is not. But this is why we have a God who actually can intercede for us. See, look at that. I'm bringing it back in. Um, and so when you are praying for your relationships and you're praying for your loved ones, you have a God that can do it, a God that will do it. Uh, and just to build off your point, Ken, you and I, all men in general, have to be sacrificially praying on behalf of our family. I
Mhm.
mean, if I think about you in particular, it's not just your family, but all your employees. You're how many you don't need to share this. I hear there are several families that you are basically taking care of. And
Yeah,
yes,
there's pressure.
financially,
There's
you know,
pressure there, yeah.
and
Yep.
you know, say your employees are solid, and I have no reason to doubt that they aren't, but you make a bad decision. You just hurt a whole lot of families.
Yeah.
Same thing for here as a church. I make a dumb decision. I got 50 people here. I have
Yeah.
50 people who now are hurting because I am in ninny. And
Mhm.
so I have to go, and you have to for your company, and we have to go on behalf of our children, in your case, your grandchildren, on the behalf of our wives. We have to sacrificially, consistently go before the Lord who can save to the uttermost. And we have to trust him in those tough moments. And we have to
Mhm.
seek him. He's our model of what we're to do. One thing that you and I have in common, we have a lot of things in common, was we both made the very hard decision to up our lives and move down to Florida, because it would have been, I mean, I'll speak on and for me, and you can tell me what you think about this. It would have been easier for me to stay in Pennsylvania or New York State. My whole family's there. It's where
Yeah.
I'm used to it. I know it.
Yeah.
And instead, I trusted God. I prayed. This is what He seemed to want us to do. And you know what? God's blessed it. But it was it was not an easy decision. I'll say this: it's probably easier for me to do it than I think it was you because you had a couple kids when you moved. Um,
Yeah, I
you
was
had
really torn. I was really torn. But I mean, and it was over a 2-year period that before we actually were able to do it. But I did pray. I prayed constantly, Lord, if this is not your will, don't let it happen. If it's your will, let it happen. Um, but yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to
yeah,
uproot your family and move, across the country. And I don't regret doing it. But I remember thinking even at the time as we were approaching the time, I'm like, I wish I could just fast forward like 3 or 4 or 5
ugh,
months, get past this hard part, you know? Um, now it's been, well, 20 years. And I think back, I'm like, man, I don't know how we did it, but the Lord brought us through it. And I know it wasn't my wife didn't want to move. It was tough on her, but she's a trooper and now she's here and my grandkids are here, so she's stuck here now. So my evil
that's
plan
the
worked.
well. There's a long, the long. I'm not gonna say the long con, but
Yes.
the long plan. But that's the thing. You gotta you men in particular, and it's true, ladies too. We got to be in prayer. We got to be in prayer about these tough, big decisions, about these big things in our lives. And by
Yep.
the way, if you notice what I was talking about, wives submit to your husbands. Husbands be willing to die for your wives as Christ did for the church. When you are seeking these tough, big prayers and you want answers, so for the gentlemen out there, are you willing to die? Are you willing to die to protect, to take care of your husband, your wives, your children? Are you willing to die?
Mhm.
Ladies, this is even harder for you because a man knows his duty. A man knows that if there's violence, I ain't gotta get in the way. It's how we're wired. Ladies, the whole world is shouting at you to disobey what I'm about to tell you, which is that you need to submit to your husband as to the Lord. That is the one thing that the world does not want you to do, ladies. They
Mhm.
want you to be, they basically just want you to be a man, to be honest.
Mhm.
And you know who makes the worst men? Women. You know who makes the worst women?
Men.
Men.
Ain't that
um,
the truth?
yeah. And so it's actually harder. I think it's actually harder for women to do what God has said because there's so much pressure on you ladies. I really believe that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um,
Mm,
because
mhm.
you're much more social creatures than we are. Men are social creatures too. We're just social differently. Ken and I could not talk for 3 weeks and then pick up as if I saw him yesterday, and we've done that. um, women, you have to talk all the time. You are wired that way. God made you that way. It's wonderful. But because you're wired that way, the pressure of society really hits you in a different way than it does us.
Mm.
And so for you to submit and obey God is to then do the same, to submit and obey your husband as he leads. As you obey your created order, as you fulfill, and this is true for both men and women, as men act in the way that they are created, as women act in the way they're created, your prayer life actually comes together. When you are doing what you're made to do, it actually makes your prayers easier to do.
Mm.
I don't know how to explain it any other way than that. As you do as God has ordained, doing what God has ordained becomes easier. Does that make sense, Ken?
Yeah,
As
I
you
mean,
trust him with, yeah, go ahead.
because it's if when we're doing what God wants us to do, it's gonna be it is gonna be easier. When we decide that we think we have a better way and we try it, it's never gonna turn out good. It's never gonna turn out easier. It's gonna end up being the hard path, and I mean that it's gonna be the thing that we thought was gonna be so good. We're gonna find out, no, that wasn't good at all. You know,
Yeah.
it might seem easier at the time, but the end result is not gonna be what we expect it to be. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're not doing God has a designed He designed us and He has a plan for our design and for what He has made us to do. You
Yeah.
know? and
the,
that's clear. But society wants to muddy the waters and say, "Oh no, 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 it's not. It's you can do what they can do, and they can do what you can do, and it's all equal." And it's not. It's not that
well,
way.
and I mean, let's look at it like this. Ken, you and I are not 7'7" basketball players, and we never will be.
Mm,
We're not built to be like that.
that's true.
Um, God, I wish I was like at least 3 inches taller, even though I put up 4 fingers. And that'd be great if I was, but I'm just never gonna be that way. We are designed to do and be who we are, and so in our lives, the way we pray and the way we seek God should be based on who we are made as. And so men need to pray manfully, and women need to pray femininely, and we need to put ourselves in the places that God has made. God hasn't come to replace; He's come to perfect.
Hmm.
And so he's going to take who you are, and by you trusting him and you putting off self and putting on Christ instead, your prayer life will be so much more impactful and effective. This is going to be hard because, I'm talking about the ladies having their issues. I think the issue with men is the issue of Adam, which is the issue of abdication, or to put it in more contemporary language, the issue of checking out.
Hmm.
The man wants to turn off. He just
Yep.
like not, or instead of that, or maybe say, well, that ain't my problem, bro. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. And that issue, I think, goes even to where it's, look at Adam. Adam had 2 jobs: to garden, and to guard. And when the snake came to his wife, he should have grabbed a shovel and killed it. And
Yeah.
instead, he just, you said it earlier, and I think I'm just going to take that point and run with it. If you don't husband your wife, the devil is going to. If you don't father your children, the devil is going to.
Hmm.
That's scary if you think about
Yeah.
it. If
Yeah.
you don't, a Christian, rest in your design and embrace your design, well, the devil's going to do that. And he will, and he glories in that. And he will hurt you, and he will lead you astray, and it will destroy you. It will destroy you. So for you to have
Yeah.
a powerful, productive prayer life, powerful, productive prayer, I couldn't get the last one there. Lean into who you are. Be a man that's willing to lead and a man willing to die. Be a woman who's willing to submit and support. And if you can do those things, you will find your prayer life more powerful than you can imagine. This is going to be hard. It's going to be hard because the world's going to tell you guys, to the men, just back off, step back, take it easy. It's not your turn anymore. We can get even more political, but I won't do that. If you look like Ken and I, they'll tell you your time is really up. Take that for what that means, but it is completely true.
Mm-hmm.
Christian men don't really need a place at the table anymore. You've said enough, haven't you?
Right.
It's like, yeah, but I'm talking about the God of the universe. I'm bringing his view in. That we need to have it here.
Dave,
and ladies,
stop being a patriarch.
I mean, yeah. Oh, Ken, we don't have anyway.
I've
Ken
said too much.
Ken really knows how I feel, y'all. He really does. He and I have had these conversations.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'm just hiding. This is called hiding your power level. Okay. I'm just keeping it down.
Wait, did I say that out loud?
Did I say that out loud?
Take a drink and pretend that didn't happen.
They're going to have a drink and not pretend it didn't happen. But yes, for you to have an effective prayer life, be the man or the woman God has made you to be. Submit to his design. Embrace his design. Christian men should be the masculine. And masculine doesn't look one way, by the way. There are many ways to be masculine. Mm-hmm. Some guys are going to be like, Ken, you're rebuilding a car. That is a masculine expression, a valid, equal masculine expression. I always think of, famously, you think of Riker and Picard. They're both very masculine, and they're both two very different expressions of masculinity.
Yeah.
Kirk and Riker are cowboys, but Picard is a British lord.
Mhm.
and his type of masculinity is not as common in the United States as the cowboy kind is in our country. But
Yeah.
they're there. And the same way for ladies, feminine looks different, but there are many very feminine ways to be. Unfortunately, because of the world, the tomboy is basically extinct. But even that, like a girl who likes to go out and play and get dirty, it's as equally feminine as the girl who likes pink and is frilly and and is
Yeah.
girly. That
Yep.
but as you are created, trust Christ, sink into your creation, who you're created to be, do those things, and your prayer life will be easy. And that's all I got.
Good deal. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Our next podcast will be a week from Thursday, March 19th. And
Yeah.
that is going to be our final Starfleet Academy episode podcast. Thank the Lord. And we will have a special closing ceremonies video as well. And we'll talk about some other things as well. So please join us again a week from Thursday, March 19th, 9 p.m. And we will wish you all good night.
Good night, guys. Thanks
Good
for
night.
watching with us.